What's up, guys? As promised, I'm gonna come to you today with a video that's gonna overview the latest build in Darkest Dungeon. You'll see up in the top left the number of the build, and to my understanding, this is the last major update that's gonna be done outside of like hot fixes and tweaks until the Cove comes out, which should be within the next probably 3 to 5 weeks, I would expect. So I'm just gonna go through and give you a quick overview and kind of touch on some of the highlights, and I'll give you my opinion at the end of what I think, and here we go. So starting with corpses. So corpses have had some tweaks. They're all basically nerfs, which are good because they were a little bit OP. But you can't miss the corpses anymore. If you crit, it won't form a corpse, and they will inherit dots if they were killed by a normal hit. So if you have, let's say you kill something, but it has a dot on it, the corpse will inherit the dot, so the corpse will be dotted. And then they've also had their HP nerfed, slight nerf to that. So those are all good changes. I think we all agree that you shouldn't be able to miss something that's literally right in front of you, dead, not moving. But then again, some people have trouble hitting golf balls. So moving on, heroes. Looking at the heroes, so we'll start with the Houndmaster. He's right here. Major buffs to the Houndmaster, and a lot of people think they were needed. I think he needed to be scaled a little bit. I don't necessarily think that he needed to be completely buffed, but I do agree with pretty much all the buffs that were there. So damage, he did need to have a little bit of a damage buff. That was buffed. Main highlights on him is that the whistle seen here now becomes a mark, and holy shit, the synergies. So that will allow him to play nice with the Arbalist, the Bounty Hunter, which we'll talk about next. That was really powerful to give him a generic mark for everybody else to be able to utilize. So that makes him a lot more feasible in a lot of parties, whereas some people were trying just to run him with 2 or 3 Houndmasters because they work together. Now you can run it with Bounty Hunter, Arbalist. It would work well too. Plus his scouting ability with the camp buff is really strong. So I think he will be much more utilized now. There's lots of other little buffs to the Houndmaster that I won't go into now, but overall good changes that needed to be done for him. Bounty Hunter. So if we look at the Bounty Hunter got a overall probably a flat pass in this. So he got nerfed slightly on Collect Bounty because Houndmaster now is going to come into the party with them, and the Houndmaster will be able to mark, so you won't have to take this. In exchange, Uppercut received a little bit stronger of a stun. I personally think that's a wash. I don't know that the Bounty Hunter got nerfed and or buffed. If anything, it probably was a slight nerf, but I think it was deserved if it was a nerf. So those are the two main things that happened with the Bounty Hunter. Moving on to the Arbalist. If we look at the Arbalist. So what happened with her is Blind Fire received a damage buff. I don't really know that that's that important, because with the corpses now being in the game, Blind Fire is less useful. But with the nerfs that the corpses inherited this patch, I'll do some testing and let you guys know in the future what I think. But currently, I don't think the Blind Fire is really that great anyway. And then Flare was adjusted so that it affects everybody in the party. So you're clearing marks and you're clearing stuns. So this would be useful for, it's pretty situational, but it probably would be worthwhile taking Flare and using it in certain dungeons. I don't know that you'd take Flare all the time, but you could, equip it and unequip it as you needed. But Flare did need to be buffed. That's for sure. That's a good buff. So a slight buff overall to Arbalist. Looking at Plague Doctor and Grave Robber. So Plague Doctor and Grave Robber both got a slight buff to the accuracy of their blight spells. More importantly, it would have been Plague Doctor. She needs another buff. I think we all know that. The cure is really strong, but she's still pretty weak in my opinion. I don't know. A lot of you guys like the Plague Doctor. I currently think she's extremely weak still, and I don't use her. But she did get a slight buff. She just needs a little more love and attention. They need to do some tweaks around here, unless they have plans where she's going to be better utilized in some of the later dungeons, which is kind of what I expect. That you'll see some better synergy with her, maybe with the Merchant or the Lord class that comes out. Highwayman, he received a slight nerf. Actually, kind of a big nerf when you look at it. He had Grape Shot Blast nerfed. Needed to happen. I think we all would agree that it needed to happen. So there's a slight nerf to Grape Shot Blast and nerf to his top end damage, which we'll all probably frowny face about. And then last patch, he got a nerf when Point Blank Shot no longer cycles well with the corpses because the corpses are there. This took a huge nerf. So I haven't used the Highwayman nearly like I used to. I expect that'll change with a few tweaks that'll be done to him between the Cove, or during the Cove and then before Darkest Dungeon. But I don't use him nearly as much as I used to, mostly because of Point Blank Shot. I still do feel he has his place. I think Clean Guns is OP and really, really good, which is probably why what was nerfed, because Clean Guns made it extremely OP. So overall, I think it was coming, but I haven't used the Highwayman nearly as much. Grave Robber, thank God. So Grave Robber received a buff that I've been begging for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 months maybe, that their overall damage is just too weak, and it did get that buff. Hopefully it's where it needs to be. I haven't played with her enough right now post-patch to be able to tell you guys if I feel that that I feel that it's where it needs to be, but either way, that's definitely a positive change. Looking at monsters in general, ghouls were nerfed, thank God. Ugh, I hate that damn mob. Maggots were nerfed, which everybody and their sister was clamoring for, and I was just basically saying I really don't think they're that bad if you stack bleeds. I really didn't feel they were that bad, but that's okay. There was a general nerf to level 3 and 5 monsters because I think they reacted to the community saying that level 3 and 5 dungeons were really, really difficult. They were more difficult for sure. That probably needed to happen. Hopefully they're where they need to be. We'll see. Reduced crit on level 1 monsters. I really didn't think that was a major issue. Unclean Giant apparently hits like a truck now. Thank God I haven't run into him yet, but based off of what I saw previously, he already hit pretty damn hard, so I would kill him quickly or stun lock him if you can. And there's going to be more Fusemen on the boss fights that are higher level. Yikes. I haven't done that yet either, but holy shit. That fight was already like tense to begin with. So those are the highlights from the monsters. Looking at the economy, a much-needed balance, I think, was done, which was lowered the initial upgrade cost for heroes. That's a good thing, because I think you all know we're gold-starved early in the game, and higher cost late game, which gold hasn't been much of a factor, so that was a much-needed balance. And then, thank God, dark runs were buffed for the amount of treasure and gold you can get. So when you look at the amount of treasure you were getting before, I was telling you guys it's not worthwhile when you were doing dark runs. Now I feel that it's better. I don't know that it's where it needs to be. I'll let you know after a little more of a playthrough. I'll keep you posted on how that is. Couple main points from the miscellaneous things that were done. Herbs no longer cure blights and bleeds. I was telling you guys that was a bug all along, and you were arguing with me on stream. But yeah, that was a bug. Wasn't intended. So that's a huge nerf to them if you'd been using them that way. And time no longer passes in town if you start a quest and then you retreat quickly. So you're going to have to make some progress in the dungeon. You can check the patch notes if you want specifics. So as promised, there's a video. Overall, extremely positive changes to the game. Again, the guys over there really listen to the community. So if there's ever been a game that I've played that has listened to the community, it's been this one. So much appreciation to the guys for their work and listening to what you guys are saying, what everybody's really been saying. We really appreciate the fact that they're taking the time to react to the community and what we've asked for. So I agree with pretty much almost everything that was put in. I think some changes need to be a little bit more with certain classes, but you have to tweak it, and you don't want to go ditch to ditch, so to speak, when you're making some of these changes. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thank you very much for watching. See ya.